All right, diving right in. Today we're looking at some pretty big AI news, and I mean like just dropped today big, March 17th, 2025.
Fresh from the AIDB newsletter, yeah.
Got it right here. So, anyone tuning in, get ready. We're going to break down the whole thing, what it is, where it stands, why it matters, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Mistral AI, they just dropped this Mistral Small 3.1. And 3.1, well, that sounds like an upgrade, right?
Yeah, it definitely sounds like they're building on something.
So let's get into it. What is this new model all about? What's at the heart of it?
Well, think of it like they took their Mistral Small 3 series and made it even better. Like way more efficient, even better performance. And they're really focusing on those AI systems that need to be lean and mean, Not everyone needs a supercomputer in their basement.
Right. So better how? What can this thing actually do? What stood out in the newsletter?
Well, first off, it's a 24 billion parameter model. That's pretty substantial. But the real kicker is that it's multimodal. It can handle text and images all in one.
Multimodal. That feels like the next big thing in AI. Like understanding the world more like we do, right? Through multiple senses.
Exactly. That's the direction it's moving in.
What else is interesting about this Mistral Small 3.1? Anything else make it stand out?
Oh, yeah. The context window. This thing can handle up to 128,000 tokens.
Whoa, 128,000. Okay, for anyone listening who isn't deep in the AI world, what does that actually mean?
So think of a token like a word or part of a word. So 128,000, that's a ton of text this model can grasp all at once.
Yeah.
Like imagine feeding it a whole research paper.
Yeah.
Or having a conversation where it remembers everything you said, even way back at the beginning.
Wow, that's huge. Like the implications for understanding complex stuff or actually having a conversation that goes somewhere are enormous.
Exactly.
Now, Mistral AI, they're known for being big on open source, right? Does that still apply with 3.1?
Absolutely. Apache 2.0 license. That means anyone can use it, modify it, deploy it. Commercial, non-commercial, doesn't matter.
So no weird restrictions. Businesses can jump on this. Researchers too.
Totally. It's all about open access, fostering innovation. That's their philosophy.
Which is pretty great for moving the field forward. Okay, so you've got this powerful AI, but what do you need to actually run it? Like a server farm?
Not at all. They've actually optimized it to run locally. Like you can run it on a single NVIDIA RTX 4090 GPU.
Okay, that's a pretty high-end graphics card, but still.
For sure. Or you can even run it on a MacBook. 32 GB of RAM if you use quantization.
Quantization, what's that in simple terms?
Think of it like you're rounding off the numbers the model uses, just a tiny bit. It makes the model smaller, so it can run on less powerful hardware, but it still works great.
Clever. So basically, more people can actually use this.
Yeah, the barrier to entry is lower. That's the whole point.
Okay, so it's powerful, accessible. What about speed? How fast is this thing?
They're saying around 150 tokens per second.
150, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, it's important for real-time stuff. Like, if you're using a virtual assistant, you don't want to wait forever for it to answer.
Right, makes sense. And the newsletter also mentioned this model is multilingual.
Yep. Didn't give a full list of languages yet, but they're aiming for wide support.
Okay, so it's not limited to just English. Global reach, right?
Exactly. More inclusive, more applications.
Now, the newsletter mentioned they used raw pre-training for this model. What does that tell us about how it learns?
Basically, it means they fed it a massive amount of data, just straight up, without a lot of pre-processing or filtering. This creates a really flexible base model that can be fine-tuned for all sorts of tasks.
Okay, so like a generalist that can then become a specialist.
Yeah, exactly. You can train it for legal stuff, medical stuff, automation, you name it. And because it's multimodal, you can even use it for things like analyzing documents with both text and pictures, or building chatbots that can see.
So lots of possibilities there. Okay, so for someone who's excited about this and wants to try it out, how do they get their hands on Mistral Small 3.1?
Well, they've got their own platform, La Platform, but they're also partnering with Hugging Face, Llama, and others, so lots of ways to access it.
That's good. They're really making it easy for people to use it. And reading between the lines, it feels like Mistral is aiming to be a big player in providing these efficient, versatile AI tools.
Yeah, their strategy seems to be about offering an alternative to those massive proprietary models, the ones that grab all the headlines. They're focusing on that, maybe 80% of applications, where it's more about speed, understanding language well, and being easy to use rather than just brute force computing power.
And this release comes hot on the heels of Mistral Small 3, right?
Yeah, that was just January 30th.
So they're moving fast.
Rapid iteration.
Now, what about performance? How does it actually stack up?
Well, we're still waiting for the full benchmarks. But early indications from Mistral and some chatter on X suggest it's building on the strengths of Mistral Small 3. That model scored 81% on the MMLU benchmark, which is impressive. It even held its own against much bigger models like Llama 3.3, 70B parameters. So with the multimodal stuff and bigger context window, 3.1 should be even better.
So we've got a good sense of what 3.1 is, but for those listening, trying to see the bigger picture, how does it compare to other AI models out there? The newsletter mentioned a couple of competitors specifically.
Yeah, they're saying Mistral Small 3.1 is outperforming competitors in its class, specifically Google's Gemma 3 and OpenAI's GPT-4o Mini.
And what makes it better? What are the advantages they're highlighting?
Well, the speed. For one, 150 tokens per second. That's a big deal for developers who need fast responses.
Speed matters. Anything else beyond pure performance numbers?
Definitely. The licensing, that Apache 2.0 license, it gives people a lot more freedom compared to some other models, even some that are open source. That's a huge advantage for developers and businesses.
Yeah, more freedom, more innovation. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing about being able to run it locally.
Right. Not everyone has access to massive cloud computing. Being able to run it on a decent GPU or even a laptop, that's a game changer.
So they're hitting all the key points: performance, accessibility, open source. Okay, we've looked at the details, the competition. Now, for you, the listener, why does this release even matter? What's the big deal?
Well, for one, it shows that you don't need these huge, resource-intensive models to do amazing things with AI, especially for most real-world applications. It's a big step forward for compact, open-source AI.
Feels like a shift towards more practical and accessible AI, for sure.
Absolutely. And this release could really shake things up in the AI world. It's a strong contender, even against the bigger players. It could lead to a ton of innovation, especially on personal devices and in places where data privacy and local processing are crucial.
So paint us a picture. Where could we see this being used in the real world?
Well, think about better language translation on your phone, even without internet. Smarter personal assistants that actually run on your device. For businesses, it could be used in finance to spot fraud, in healthcare to analyze medical images, in robotics to make them more aware of their surroundings.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how it changes things for us.
It's about a more democratic AI ecosystem
Right.
where powerful tools are available to more people. That leads to more diverse applications, more creativity.
And for you listening, who's taking the time to understand this, it means there's a powerful new tool out there that could impact your life in a lot of ways. It's part of this larger trend towards efficient, open AI that's actually usable in the real world.
Exactly. It raises a big question. Is the future of AI just about building bigger and bigger models, or is it about efficiency, accessibility, and working together? Mistral Small 3.1 suggests it might be the latter.
This has been a really interesting deep dive into Mistral AI and their new release. Fresh off the press, or fresh off the newsletter, I guess. Mistral Small 3.1 is a pretty exciting development in the world of AI.
Absolutely. It makes you think, what happens when really capable AI can run on everyday devices? How will we interact with technology in the future? What new things will developers create? It's definitely something to keep watching.
A lot to think about.
Oh, sure.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.